the town of Germantown, or the village of Germantown, 2 grants in 2 different years worth $15,000 each towards videotaping the village board meetings. The person I talked to also said that at some point in time, that money's going to be respent again out of their own budget to replace the cameras and everything else. And it was the same figure, about $4,800 a year that they pay out to have these things, to have people come in and video record. So, you know, when we discussed this at the budget, when we discussed the budget, we weren't discussing whether or not we're going to video record the meetings, and we didn't discuss putting cameras in squad cars. And my statement was made midterm of the budget year, now that the request is coming to video record these meetings. And the cost came up at $26,000 or $34,000, whatever the figure was. And my statement was that before we spend it on video recording meetings, I would rather see it be spent on officer safety. So it wasn't that I turned my back on the cops during budget time. We didn't discuss it at that time. And I only made a reference to that, rather than spend the money midterm during the budget year on something video recording meetings, I would be against. I don't think there was one board member that said they were against video recording the meetings. We're not. We'll address it at the right time. And when we have enough money to do so, I'm sure it'll be done, but not until then.
Clyde?
2 comments. First, regarding citizens' comments. I don't want anybody to ever think they shouldn't make comments. I know some of you do a lot of homework in your comments, whether sometimes we agree or disagree. I appreciate hearing what you have to say. I really do. And I think that's very important. So I really don't like to hear the attitude that it's not welcome, because it certainly is, and I do want to continue to hear it. The other item was regarding Mr. Riccio. I was going to make a motion to table it. I think we need some dialogue. I think that was apparent from Planning Commission, and I would really encourage Mike, Gene, whoever is necessary to start some good dialogue with Mr. Riccio. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Just to respond to Mr. Babcock, you take things too personal sometimes, maybe. I don't know if the shoe entirely fit on that comment I made at that time, but one thing with the questions you ask folks, such as Senator Wirch and Lieutenant Governor, is do you think televising local meetings is a good thing? Of course, they say yes. But if you were to propose that question to them, do you think televising local meetings, when you have other things out there looming of probably more safety importance to the community versus televising a meeting, you may get a different reaction or answer from them. So it's all how the question is posed there. Earlier you heard Mr. Bragg talk about the problems with the digging in the right-of-ways, AT&T. This has a direct correlation to the village and televising meetings. We had pretty good cable ordinance in the state before. Unfortunately, TV for everyone kind of eroded that, and we lost that. We lost a lot of the consumer protections. One thing we lost are the PEG channels, and that was the vehicle that was out there to help communities to do what everybody wants to have done here. Televise meetings, get it on board, and get it done right. Unfortunately, it comes at the cost of some slick promotion and some heavy lobbyists in Wisconsin. It was an item I didn't favor up there because of what it did to the consumer rights, what it did to the local channels, and what it's going to eventually do to the cost of cable along the line. There's a proposal that's going to save everybody a lot of money. Well, unfortunately in states such as Texas, which they promoted, it didn't happen there. In fact, cable's costing more in the state of Texas than some of those other states. But Wisconsin jumped on the bandwagon. We put it forward. They promised more jobs to the union workers. Fortunately, we saw crews come in here from out of state, non-union folks, doing the work. Now the unions are upset and saying, follow with AT&T, you know, somebody didn't play by the rules. Well, and that's what's going to happen further down the line. So hopefully we're going to get something back It's always hard to get it back after you give it away, but the communities, Sun Prairie is a fine example of that, what's gonna happen to their tag channels, and a lot of other major communities around the state, so unfortunately, some of the things where people were promised something and didn't get it, is gonna affect what we have quality here in the village. We lose a lot of our rights were down the drain with this also. And that's unfortunate, because every time these companies go into the right of way and they dig where they're not supposed to be digging, to get away with things they shouldn't be doing, it's gonna cost the taxpayers money, and that's our money. Every one of us was a taxpayer in this community. So, is there any other comments from board members? Hearing none, I'll have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion by Clyde, second by Mike. Favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried.